Yo, what is going on, my dudes? Welcome to another RuneScape news coverage video. For this video, we're going to cover more information we got about the mining and smithing rework. So, some of these things I'm sure is pretty interesting to a lot of you guys. So, without any further ado, right in the video, let's go. So first and foremost, Mod Stu, who was from the growth team, is now on the mining and smithing team. So he's currently actually working on filling up the game world with mining spots. I have an image right here so you can see the map of what it looks like. This is his second draft that he posted actually on Reddit, and it is different from the first one because people gave him feedback, and he's still subject to change these locations if even more feedback comes out. So please do so. That is Mod Stu, so you can tweet at him and give your feedback. I will also have a link down below to this exact image, so if you really want to see it really close up and get into it, you can do so down there. But anyways, as you can see, all the ores will be accessible to the player without any type of quests or any other lockouts at all. Now, some of those ores are in quest-only areas, but there are alternative locations which aren't. So that means, you should be able to train all the way up to 99 with not a single quest requirement. That's kind of the core aim that Mod Stu wants with this whole map layout. So if you do have any feedback, keep that in mind. He does want all ores to be available without any quest locations. Now, I personally do not have much objections to these mining locations. They're just mining locations as long as they fit them into some nice areas that fit the thematics nicely. I am not too worried about it. It's neither here nor there for me. Let me know what you think, though. Now, moving on, we got information about what the team is working on currently. So right now they're actually designing, and I've talked about this in the previous videos, but just to give you an idea of what they're still doing, is the Masterwork Armor is still in development, upgraded Masterwork Armor as well, and the Artisan's Workshop and the Smithing Guild. Now, like I said, I did cover these in videos before. If you haven't seen them already, I suggest go looking at them. Posted them about a week or two ago, so check out those things. Not much has changed from those videos, but they are currently still working on those two pieces of the project. Now, I want to touch up on the other video regarding the drop tables and spring cleaner updates. So many people, even some on my video, were very worried about ruining the PVM drop tables with this because, again, watch that video if you're curious about the changes, but many people felt like the change devalued a lot of the drop tables on PVM monsters, and to be honest, that's, in my opinion, far too early of a judgment. Because what they've said in the latest live stream, they are still very much in the balancing stage with these types of things. In no way of what I discussed in that video is final. You need to keep that in mind. And you can, if you have any objections, please give your feedback to the JMods involved. And they specifically said on the stream that they're taking these drops tables and the issues that people have with them very seriously. They are more than willing to buff a drop table if this negatively affects a certain NPC. I've even seen people in my comment section saying certain monsters are now ruined because of this. They are closely looking at those kinds of things, and if a NPC gets nerfed that bad, they will buff those drop tables. So it doesn't necessarily mean that everything on those drop tables are going to be converted to the salvage that I mentioned. They may even add new things to make those drop tables worthwhile. So hopefully that at least eases your mind to some extent, knowing that they are taking the drop tables specifically, very seriously. So we shouldn't see too much of a big blow to those things. In fact, they should almost be identical in terms of GP per hour post-launch as compared to they are now for PVMers out there who are concerned. Moving on, we actually have a picture of one of the armors. Here we have Orichalcum Armor. So here's the concept art of the armor itself. Keep in mind that this is still the concept art stage, so this is not final. It can change if you have any feedback. If you don't like it, please voice your opinions. I cannot stress that enough. One of the things that they got out of a recent survey with the mining and smithing is that players wanted their armors to look more traditional as opposed to fantastical. Even though the Orichalcum doesn't look extremely realistic, it is more grounded in medieval armor. They did say that as the tiers go up, they may start to look a little bit more fantastical, but they still will be grounded in what you would expect to be traditional medieval armors. So if anybody's concerned about that, I'm sure you're going to be happy to hear that they are taking a much more realistic approach, so to speak. If you want to know my opinion, personally, the Orichalcum Armor looks a little too busy. It doesn't look bad per se, but I don't know how else to describe it. It just looks very busy. I wish it was a slightly more toned down, but I'd love to hear your thoughts. Do you think it's a great looking armor, or do you not like it at all? Again, this is still concept stage, so it can very likely change. Moving on, we have the Orichalcum Weapon. So here's some concept art of what some of these weapons look like. To be very clear, like I was with the armor, these weapons are still just concept stages, so they may change. But one key thing that they actually mentioned on the live stream is they're not looking at making every single weapon type with every tier. So for example, the Orichalcum you're seeing here will have mauls and warhammers. They also mentioned that the Nechrite armor, that's the next tier up, tier 70, will have battle axes, and the tier 80 and 90, Bane and Elder Rune, will have traditional swords, two-handers, things like that. This basically just gives some visual diversity among the tiers, so they don't feel all the same, because they said when they were developing it, it was all swords, and it felt extremely samey, so they just wanted to break up that monotony, have a little diversity among those tiers. Now, they may be looking to fill out each tier with more weapons in the future, but it's probably not something that's going to be happening at launch, because I understand that it does mean that there will be holes in the tier. For example, for Orichalcum, they're only making crush weapons. That does mean by its very nature there will be gaps in the different melee attack styles. If it proves to be a problem, they can add more weapons for stab and slash attack styles to even it out. Now, you may have actually noticed in this image itself that there are actually two types of each weapon. That is actually to show the difference between the base weapon and the fully upgraded. If you do not know, maybe you haven't been paying attention or did not watch my previous videos, you'll be able to upgrade your items to have even better stats. The first upgrade being a +1 all the way up to +5 for certain items, namely the higher tiers. Now, only a fully upgraded item will have this difference in look from the base, which means all the others aside from the highest one will look identical to the base, so keep that in mind. That's the most realistic approach they could do with it without having too much of a strain on development time. But it is really cool to see that visual difference between, you know, having the maximum upgrade to the base piece of equipment in that tier. You won't necessarily have to mouse over an item to see if it's fully upgraded. You can instantly see it there on the actual model. I think it's a very nice touch. Again, let me know if you have any thoughts about that. And that's pretty much all the new things for the actual mining and smithing itself, but I do want to close out on a little bit of information about the beta. Now, the next beta for the mining and smithing rework will be towards the end of the year. Now, they don't want to do an interim beta because the betas themselves are pretty costly. It's not like they can just make their test worlds available for us to play around in. They actually have to put in fail-safes to make sure things like client crashes, etc. do not happen, which is why they are not coming out with another beta until, like I said, towards the back end of the year. However, by that time, the complete mining and smithing rework will be close to launch at that point, because the beta itself, that second one that they're going to be doing, will pretty much be full in terms of all the features that mining and smithing will offer. And they said that the second beta is more so to find like little bits and bobs that need tweaking into the game. There shouldn't be any big changes by that point, which is why a full launch will be shortly after that beta. Again, like I said, that's towards the back end of the year. So if you're curious about when this is going to come out into the game, the mining and smithing rework, towards the end of this year. Please let other people know if they're curious. I get this a lot of times on my channel. When is the mining and smithing rework coming out? Not until towards the end of the year. It's not in the middle of the year. It's not anytime soon. It's at the back end. I don't know if that upsets you or whatever the case may be, but at least you guys have an idea of when you can expect it instead of just hoping it's going to come out next month after next month after next month. So there you have it. Now you know when to expect it. So hopefully that helps. Let me know down in the comments below, what do you think of the map or the areas where the mining locations are going to be? What do you think of the Orichalcum armor? What do you think about the fact that certain tier armors are going to only have certain class weapons? All of those things, please leave down in the comment below. I'd love to hear what you have to say, and I'll definitely be able to give my thoughts on those as well. Especially if you guys come out with some really cool ideas, so let me know. That being said, I'm going to sign off there. If you enjoyed the video, hit that like button. If you are not subscribed, but you want to stay up to date on all things RuneScape related, then hit that subscribe button. I appreciate you guys watching. I am out. Peace.